Hey guys, welcome back to the bunker. As you can see, I'm still in my bedroom. That's because renovations upstairs are still not finished. 3 months on. Hey ho. So the acoustics are way better down here until I get a bit more furniture. Also, cat scratch. Ginger did not like what I was doing when I lifted him recently and did this, which is fun. Anyway, today I am talking about in-flight skincare. Many of you are going to be jetting off for a well-deserved holiday, perhaps the first for a couple of years, and you might be out of practice in getting yourself ready for travel. And I guess I'm talking mostly about travel over some distance. I'm not talking about a 2-hour hop to Ibiza if you're in the UK. How to prep your skin so that when you arrive at the other end, you are not a crispy, broken out fiend, all right? So that's my biggest fear, certainly, you know, starting the holiday with completely the wrong mindset and skin set. So how do we make the flight work for us and not against us? So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing all my favorite travel skincare hacks, and make sure you watch right to the very end, as I'll be saving the best till last. Now, the thing about long distance air travel, problems are twofold, yes? So we have a pressurized cabin with super dry air that will literally steal the water from your skin if it's not correctly combated. And then you have jet lag, which has its own kind of stress effect on the body and can lead to breakouts, can lead to a disrupted skin barrier, dark circles, all that good stuff. So how do we work during that time when we're traveling to minimize those kind of things from happening in the first place? So for me, preparation is everything. How I get to the airport kind of sets me up for how I'm going to manage my skin through the plane journey. Now, for me, that means going to the airport with really the least on my skin that's possible while still looking pulled together and polished. That sounds possibly impossible, but I think good skin, brows, lashes, hair looks good means you can usually get away with minimalist makeup, and then you have relatively little to do to start your skincare routine when you're on board. So that means I'll go to the airport with a bit of tinted sunscreen on, clear mascara through my brows, maybe a bit of eyebrow pencil. I'll curl my lashes, but I won't wear mascara, and a bit of tinted lip balm just to kind of give my face a little presence. Might pop a little bit on my cheeks too. Basically sheer products that are not designed for longevity, because we don't want that. We want clean skin when we get on board the plane, but allows me to come to the airport looking like I'm ready for vacation. So that's what's on my face as I leave home. Now, the next most important thing is traveling with something that is airplane hand luggage friendly, and I use one of these kind of pochettes, which is transparent, so I can see where everything is, and I'm not going to overpack. And then I tend to decant things which aren't portable in this size of a container. Obviously there's 100ml max, but I never carry anything that's 100 mLs. I mean, 30 to 50 is the limit. And for things that come in bigger tubes, I tend to sort of decant into one of these, or even one of these, depending on how much of that product I think I'm going to need. So I have one of these in my hand luggage, and then I'll tend to carry a variety of things. So the first thing is to think about cleansing. So I want to get that little bit of whatever I have on my skin off, and I tend to do that before I board. So I'll go into the loo by the departure gate, and I will cleanse. And I tend to use a micellar water, and I'll decant it into this. I find this kind of thing really helpful. Go to Muji if you're looking for portable mini containers for travel. It tends to have the best selection. So I have one of these, and I'll use a reusable cotton round. I might even take a couple. And this is one of the instances where I think micellar waters are super helpful. Micellar waters are water that contains very mild surfactants and hydrating ingredients that basically, when applied to that cotton pad, become like a little magnet for oil, grime and makeup on your skin. And when you swipe gently with a soaked cotton pad, allows you to lift off the product. So I'll tend to do that. Then I will rinse again with water, as I don't like any residue left on my skin, however mild those surfactants might be. And this is a great way for sensitive skin to cleanse on the go, particularly. My skin is super sensitive, redness prone, acne prone, concerned with aging, you know, the full house basically. So that allows me to cleanse my skin before I leave, so I'm not dealing with the wet sock situation, trying to flounder around with a cleanser in those tiny little airplane loos. So clean face. Then once I board the plane, I'm in a position to think about the two main issues, so hydration and the blemishes. Now, depending on whether it's a daytime or nighttime flight will determine a bit what active ingredients you might want to take with you. Now, for a nighttime flight, I carry my retinoid. You want to basically treat your skin as you normally would when you sleep. And, you know, despite, you know, perhaps your concerns that retinoids might be too drying for air travel, as long as you balance them out with good hydration throughout the flight, you will be fine. And I promise you, your skin will look better for it on arrival. However, if it's daytime and I'm concerned about blemishes and clear pores and all that stuff, I will use Flawless Neutralising Gel, either in a zone, kind of along the jawline, in the T-zone. My skin often gets quite oily. It's kind of conflicted whenever I'm traveling by plane. And the nice thing about this is it's really non-drying, which is pretty much unheard of when it comes to a blemish solution. The squalene really does help temper any barrier kind of effects from the active ingredients of salicylic acid and azelaic acid. And I really think barrier dysfunction is a big part of why adult skin tends to break out. So this is a really nice solution to travel with in the plane if you're breakout prone, typically when you fly. And let's face it, most of us are. So that's how I handle my actives. Really, it's retinoid at night and maybe a blemish solution during the day. If my skin was in completely good shape, no issues, no major concerns, I would tend to just focus on hydration. Now, hydration, I'm something of an obsessive whenever I come to air travel. So I tend to use full fat Flawless Moisturiser. If I had very dry skin, I would decant some of Flawless Revival Mask. My skin just doesn't tend to be that dry, but that's where your handy pot comes in with a bigger tube like that, because that one is 100 ml, so we don't want to travel with that, it's too much. It takes up valuable space. But with this, I will tend to literally reapply this every hour, I want to say. I remember on a night flight with Emma coming back from a conference in the US, and she thought it was crazy because I was literally waking up every hour, checking my skin. Does it still feel quite damp from moisturizer application? If the answer was no, I reapplied it. And I think that is the key, particularly in dryness prone areas like around the eyes, sometimes around the mouth can be tend towards dryness. Reapplication of this, particularly with its benefits from occlusive ingredients and from niacinamide, is really calming on that kind of stressy factor that we all experience with our skin when we fly. And this makes all the difference in the world. Next, we have to think about lips. Air travel is really tough on the lips. And there's nothing worse than arriving with dry lips, to be honest, especially going into the sunshine. So again, I am obsessive about applying lip balm, and I do find that with either Lip Tint or Flawless Lip, the original formula, it does really tend to stay put. So you don't have to obsess about reapplication to the same extent that I would with my facial moisturizer. However, I do make sure to reapply it after I brush my teeth, after I've eaten and had drinks, to make sure I've got a kind of constant layer of balm on there to kind of support lip barrier function too. The other thing that's quite nice for an overnight flight is to take your own eye mask. Now, I am someone who literally cannot sleep if there is a hint of light, so I use one of these all the time anyway. And there's something quite reassuring about using paraphernalia for sleep that you're already familiar with, rather than using a new mask that feels a bit foreign. So that's, for me, is an absolute essential. I think this one's from Olivia von Halle, but you know, whatever one works for you, basically. Now, my last tip for you might almost be the most important one, because it's something I've added to my routine recently, and that is in-flight meditation. Calm mind, calm skin. Because a lot of what we're kind of the consequences of, the negative consequences of air travel is really mitigated by managing stress better. And proper meditation, and I use the Vedic meditation style. When I say proper meditation, I mean a meditative state that you can access quite easily because you've been doing it for a while, that really allows you just to kind of be grounded and present, and not overthinking things, which some of us can end up doing. You know, a flight left to our own devices can sometimes lead to kind of a cascade of worry and anxieties and things. So I find that just starting the flight with a 20-minute meditation really sets me up for a calm journey. It helps me sleep. And that sort of management of my cortisol levels, I think, has a long sort of a knock-on effect on my skin too. So I use the Vedic style, as I said. So London School of Meditation is where I learned that style of meditation. I've mentioned it before in videos, but I think it really does help, particularly if you're an anxious flyer, as so many of us are. Final thought, be careful about salt intake and alcohol consumption when you're flying. Very easy to kind of, you know, treat yourself, but beware those two things, as they do tend to create puffiness, particularly on a night flight, and no one wants to arrive with flight worsening under eye bags. So I certainly know I have to be careful with salt consumption. It's the one thing that can really lead me to have a puffy face, so just bear that in mind. If you do those things, I find that you can actually arrive at your destination looking better than you left, pretty much. Dewier, you've got calm skin, you look pampered, and you know, you might have a little bit of dark circle action. You know, you haven't had the same quality of sleep as you might normally have, but a little bit of concealer, fix those brows, a little bit of clear mascara, slick of lip tint, and you are good to go. You can go straight to the beach club if you want. So those are the things that I find really helpful when I fly. That's my routine. I've been using it for years. It really helps me, it keeps me calm and ensures that I arrive feeling ready for my vacation rather than feeling I have work to do to undo the stress of the flight. Please let me know if those tips help you when you prepare for your vacation, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.